So today's topic will be acceptance. Especially under the circumstances that we are in, but that's sort of for all your life. So I would think that the hardest thing, well, that everything's hard because you have to self-love, and there's certain things that you have to do in life, and that doesn't mean that once you've mastered them that you're okay and that you're ready to go on to the next one. It's not sequential, and it's not categorized, and it's not in groups. So sometimes, we might have lots of self-love, and then at other times in our life we might not, even though we had it really well mastered. So there's certain things in life, right, that we have to work through to be able to master and be able to sort of have consistently. One of them, I believe, and the hardest ones that I have felt in my life that have been very hard for me have been acceptance and have been forgiveness, right? So in this time right now with the virus, I think it's very important to sort of understand and be able to accept whatever it is that we are currently living, our current circumstance. And it is very, very, very difficult, right? Because we have to accept that we can't go out. We're in self-quarantine right now. So it's a lot about really being with self and really being able to be with ourselves and truly, maybe to some extent, also review what we're living, right? There's some of us, and some people that are really taking back and taking a step back in life, because they've had to, right? So you have to do a change in schedule and a change of all sorts of routine things, daily matutinos is what it's called in Spanish. And so it's your daily habits that you've had to really reflect upon and really see your life as it is, and whether you are happy with it, and really analyze it and see it from a step back and a perspective and say, is this really what I want? And is this really what I've been working and striving so hard to live? Is what I have acquired and what I have built, does it suffice me? And does it, fulfill me, right? And so I had this lesson that I had for my students, one of my classes, and I couldn't find it, and it was on YouTube, but it was about this metaphor and this motivational video about sort of traveling, and how when you travel and you board your plane, how things start getting smaller and smaller as you go higher and higher, and how you see things in perspectives and from a higher plane, right? And how you can see the roads that lead and where it is that they lead, but once you're on the ground, you can't see where those roads necessarily lead, as you can from a perspective. And there was a metaphor there that the motivational speaker used, and I'll never forget it. And and he says, as we wait for our luggage to come in, when we're waiting for our luggage claim, right? Are we willing to claim our luggage, and will we take it on to our next trip and our next voyage and our next path? And so what really that told me was that sometimes it's better to leave the baggage behind, right? And sometimes it's not good to bring in the baggage. And so also in being able to see things from a higher perspective and being able to really view things from a distance can really bring in perspective and can really bring in whatever it is that you haven't necessarily seen. So that in of itself is what we are really going through currently, right? And so when I made that lesson for my students, I always told them, as I was traveling, precisely, I think it's been a year, we were checking out colleges for my son, and I always do this little weird thing where I sort of, like, when I travel, I sort of, if the plane falls, I don't know, it's kind of stupid, right? If the plane falls, we probably won't survive, but nonetheless, I always do this little plan about where I could go and what direction it would be and this and that or whatever. So sort of like an escape plan, whatever, an emergency plan, right? And so I told him that, if anything were to happen to me, and if the plane were to fall and I were to die at this moment in my life, I would be okay with it. I am very satisfied with my life. There are things that have not gone the way I have expected, right? In certain aspects of my personal life. But overall, I am very satisfied with my life. So if I were to die today, I would be okay with who I had become and what I had achieved. and what it is that I have so much pursued and worked so hard for. And one of them, first most, is of course my children, and the other is just being with self. I can look myself in the mirror and truly like and and understand that the person that's staring right back at me has tried always as best as I can to do the best always, and to do what is best for everyone, and try as softly as I can have gone through life. So I think that it is a time of reflection currently, and a time of acceptance, of accepting that we cannot go out, and accepting that, there's a lot of acceptance that we have to do, and acceptance of the uncertainty that we have currently. I think that everybody, at least in my generation, we've never been like this. We've never been, where it's been a pandemic, I think is what it's called. I don't know. And there's been so many people affected, and that there's no cure, right? And so that is an acceptance, that we have to accept something that is out there, that is potentially deadly, that has taken plenty of lives, and yet we are unable to do anything about it. So there is a lot in our self quarantine and our self isolation that we are truly reflecting, and it has everything to do with the way we have lived up to now, and it has everything to do with being able to accept our certain circumstance. And so as we reflect, will we learn from this, and will we adjust to whatever it is that we need to adjust to in order to have a more fulfilling life, if we are not satisfied with the current life and the current situations of our own life that we have so built and wished for and desired and created, because we are the creators of our life. So once we get rid of being scared, and once hopefully there'll be a cure and a vaccine, we don't know, projected is about 2 years, but once that is, are we going to go back? And once we get rid of being scared and going back to the normal, right? Are we going to go back to our old ways, and back to ways in which, the ways that so much created the place and the ability and the structure and the situation that we're so in it? Or are you truly satisfied with your life? And have you done the work so far? And if you haven't, then what is it that you will be willing to change? Would you be willing to leave things behind that no longer serve you? And those can be very important, right? Like relationships, or empires, or houses, or little thing that you have, right? Are you willing? Are you willing for a new beginning and a more profound life, and a life with such more meaning and such more beauty, and maybe much more love than what you're living? Are you willing to do the sacrifices, and are you willing to be able to leave behind what no longer serves you? Is it what you've been working for all your life satisfying to you at this moment, when at this point in time all that really matters is your loved ones and your health? And that's it. And it doesn't matter how much money you have in this world, how many degrees you have on the walls, or what it is that you've been aspiring to. Do you have someone that cares for you, and that wishes you well, and that calls you? I've so much enjoyed this time. I've never been home, because I've always been, out and about, and I've always supported my kids and stuff. So I'm very much enjoying my time at home. I've never had it. So I have very much enjoyed my time at home, and mostly I so much enjoy my calls in the morning with my children, as I do my calls in the morning to my mother, and to the elders that sort of depend on me and are waiting for my calls. So do you have that kind of structure? And really, in the end, right now it's about love, acceptance, and being healthy. And are you satisfied where you are? And if you're not, are you willing to change it? Because this is about accepting the current circumstances that we are in, and truly surrendering to the situation. And maybe it be a lesson to whatever it is, to highlight whatever it is that no longer serves us and no longer really matters in the end. And that maybe we have been so off our path that we have not understood what it is that we were truly seeking. So this is a great time of reflection, of acceptance, and of forgiving yourself, right, of what you have done and what you haven't done, but mostly of having the courage to be able to live the best life that you so deserve. And the best life you so deserve is to be at peace, to accept the situation at hand, to do as best as you can with what you have, and to truly be surrounded by love and people that care about you, and loved ones that truly matter in your life, and that you are truly significant to. Many blessings. Happy Easter.